Good morning everyone and welcome back to Build the Back to the Future DeLorean. This is issue number 17 and we're going to continue our assembly of the transmission and engine of the DeLorean. This is our parts kit for the week. Some screws obviously, oil pan, back of the engine, or the side that butts up with the transmission, however you want to look at it. And starter, a couple other pieces. We're not going to get through the whole engine today. This is, I think, a pretty short kit, but ultimately it's still going to look pretty hollow. And this is going to attach to our transmission assembled last week transmission case. So we're going to start filling in this end and getting this a little bit larger. So let's go. We'll start with getting the screws out. We have, if we've got them all, JM, which also has another card in it. 2 JM cards, hopefully. So that's interesting. He doubled up the cards in the bag for some reason. JM, FP, which we're supposed to have. Now this says DM, but I'm supposed to have DP and AP screws, so that's interesting. Let me check and see if my toolkit has DP screws in it, because I think they've given me the wrong things. I don't actually have any DP screws. Let's see if these look like DM screws. They certainly do. Hope they're not supposed to be. Well, no, they're definitely not supposed to be DP screws because they're going into metal. So that's a typo in the book. No problem. Not DP. Must be DM screws. Because what they're showing is attaching into the metal of this. Okay, so, you know, minor issue aside, we'll get these sorted over here. And we will start this. Okay, step 1, fit the sump pan, which I think is the only plastic piece in this. Got our nice little oil sump pan here. To the bottom of the engine. That's the top of the bottom. That's the side the pan's going to go on. But again, this is this is die cast. This is plastic. I'm going to do that with FP screws. 2 of them. And this is going to go on here. Now, does it go that way? That way. The picture seems to indicate that it goes with the short side, this lower edge, towards the end, and with the higher edge towards this post. So that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to secure it with 2 FP screws. And this is one of those things where if this is backwards, if the picture is wrong, which I have no reason to think it is, but if the picture is wrong, there's a lot of disassembly I would have to do to get back to this, to flip this around later. I don't know, this is on the bottom of the car, you know, an accessible point. These screws are not, but I can't imagine that even if this is actually backwards, that other than being, you know, inaccurate, that it would actually cause a problem. Okay, so next we bring in the transmission case, and we bring in the rear of the engine. We're going to secure this together somehow. Obviously that way, because it didn't really fit the other way. So that's going to go on here, so that's the piece. Boop. And that's going to be secured with what they were calling DP screws in the picture, but given that this is all metal, we know should be these DM screws. Sometimes the book has, you know, called out the wrong thing on the page or in the parts list. This is the first time I've seen it use the same, I think, the same error in both. And like I say, this is all metal, so if it was supposed to be DP, they made the parts out of the wrong material too. So this gets secured, 2 screws in here. And these screws certainly seem to fit correctly. They're the right length, the right size. Actually, they're a nice easy fit. I'm not even having to fight with it, which is always nice. So there we go. We've got a little bit of bell on the transmission. Okay, next we are going to take the actual engine block piece. You can tell this is going to be the beginning of our cylinder heads. And this is also going to secure on here. And it's going to fit in like that. This is also secured with size D screws. I will say the count is right. They said 5 DP screws. They usually give you an extra, and there were 6 DM screws, so that part makes sense. They got the quantity correct. This is just going to assemble on the back here with 3 screws. And number 3, and then we'll tighten all these down. It's funny, I got a slight gap here. Yeah, I think it's just going to have a slight gap because it's perfectly flush the rest of the way. So, okay. That's just a difference in how this material is molded, I guess. It's not bad. And I guess in real life there'd be a gasket there, so you'd have a teeny tiny little lip and edge. Anyway, so that's so far. And I believe next we are attaching the starter. Yep. And this is going to be attached to those AP screws. So we have to build a little plastic starter here. Get a starter. It's kind of funny. Got a little hollow starter, hollow on the back. Hollow starter. And the solenoid to go with it. As the camera fuzzes out. Okay, this is going to attach just like solenoids attach to starters by pushing 2 plastic pins into the edge and calling it a day. Yeah, so that just pressed right in. That's it. And hollow on the back again, kind of silly. Obviously not going to be visible. And this is going to fit through. I don't know how well you can see it. There is a screw hole here and then a little pinhole there. So that aligns it, and then the screw passes through from the front to hold it together. Yeah, so it's going to go on like that. I just got to get a screw in there. 1 AP screw coming up. I think I mentioned before that I have spoken to customer service, and they say my Ghostbusters parts are on back order. They told me that if I was going to get anything this week, or this coming up shipment, that I would know, because my shipments go out about the 22nd of the month. And I did get a notification that I was getting more DeLorean parts, which is good. We've only got 1 more kit left for next week, so that'll work out pretty well. We'll be at, on schedule, no problem there. Because we can go 2 weeks without parts, and it takes them about 10 days. But, yeah, so it appears that, again, we got another month without any Ghostbusters Ecto 1 parts. So, I apologize to anybody who's holding out on that, but we will continue it when we can get parts. And hopefully, getting, back-ordered parts in will mean that the rest of the supply run, it'll put us on schedule where their parts are. I can't guarantee it, but that's the hope. So, that's the starter attached. Not bad looking. Gives a little bit of color contrast. I don't know how everything else is going to fit around it. Obviously, the engine block is going to fit in along these seams, so you won't be able to see this space, and I bet that this is carved out so that it fits around something. But I don't know for sure. We'll see it when we get there. The last step is going to be using these JM screws to attach the bottom of the oil pan on here. There's actually a little carve out here for the post, and that's going to fit like that and get secured on with a couple of screws. So we're not ending this with extra bits. We're going to have one larger engine and transmission bit instead of more small ones. So we got 2 JM screws. I don't think I've seen a JM yet. I think this is new. Wonder if we're really going to get all 52, letter combinations. So we got a screw. We got to line this all up. Ooh. Helps if, you do it right. That's one, and again, as always, putting them both in before we really crank them down in case there's any alignment issues to shake out. Okay, a couple of screws holding that on. So we have the bottom, the transmission, and the end of the engine, plus a starter. Kind of hollow, like I said. This is what our finished assembly should look like. Pretty sure that's what we've got here. So, that's it for this week. Of course, if you have missed any episodes, you can go back and watch the playlist for the Build the Back to the Future DeLorean. We do those on Saturdays. Once we get the Ecto 1 up and rolling again, those will be on Wednesdays, and you can watch the playlist to see how far we got before the parts ran out. And, if you like what you see, please come back and watch more. I do occasionally do videos on computer teardowns and things as I do repairs for people. And you can check those out on my channel. Click the cat to subscribe. Have a good one, guys.